What are some of the craziest things you've seen, either going to an open house or you go to a client's house to see their house and you're like, what in the world?
I'm not entirely sure in Trevos I didn't walk in on like a murder scene. Like this house had so much, I guess it was like red dye and there were dolls everywhere. It was like creepy, dude.
You found the Annabelle house.
Hi, I'm Denise Sabia, and together with Mike Bowman, we're your hosts for Renovation Radio. Mike and I are passionate about helping people create the home of their dreams. So if you're thinking about remodeling your home, or if you're just looking for some inspiration, we're here to help you make your dream home a reality. This is Renovation Radio.
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 I feel like it should be Friday already. It's only Tuesday. I did get Botox recently.
It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday.
Oh, thank God you're here. It's Wednesday. We're a day closer to Friday.
Yeah.
I got Botox recently, so I'm going to drool all over myself because they put it around my mouth. And
Well, drool away. You're not on video.
I know. Thank God I'm not on video.
Did they fix the mustache?
They did. They waxed my mustache and then Botoxed me. And so I'm tripping over my words a little. Can you tell?
No. Rat poison? Isn't that what it is?
It is poison. Yeah, it's trying to get me to shut up.
Oh, never. Doesn't work.
All right. Well, this week we have a special guest. See, you hear it in my voice? I have a little bit of a list.
It's going to be a long episode.
It is. That's Seth Lejeune. He's a local realtor. I prefer his Instagram name, AskSethAnything, because we are going to ask you anything. You're a little bit all over the place. Like you have a blog, you're a real estate agent, and then you also have your own podcast. So you're way better at this than we are. 17 episodes better than we are. But when you picked Ask Seth Anything, didn't you know you were like open yourself up for a can of worms that like people were going to ask you crazy questions?
Yeah, but I love it. I like when people ask me questions. I was saying before we started recording that like the parents at the bus stop ask me like random questions.
Like what? Give me like the most random. Give me 3 most random that you've gotten. Weird or bizarre.
So this morning they asked me what was the capital of Washington State.
And what is it?
It's Olympia.
I knew you would know it.
Yeah.
You seem like the type who has a lot of
I kind
information.
of I have a very good knack of archiving completely useless information.
Yeah,
That's the best kind.
I always say just archive it. Grateful cocktail parties, No, I was asked like who invented the helicopter. Like people just come up with random stuff. So it's
you don't find a lot of women with like random trivia knowledge. It's usually men that have that useless knowledge.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's biologically built into us or something. Maybe that part of our brain is activated, and in women it's.
We got all this free time while you're doing dishes and cooking. So
this
we just
is why
sit
like
there
women rule the world.
Yeah.
We don't need to like fill our brains with all like.
Did you
capitals.
guys think about the Roman Empire today?
No, I know that was like a viral thing going around TikTok, wasn't it?
It's a joke where men think about the fall of the Roman Empire like more often than you would think. For me, it's probably at least once a week.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You do too?
I can't explain it.
The only thing I think about the fall of the Roman Empire is to think that they probably fell because they used lead line pipes
That's
for the
what they
water
say.
to travel, and it
They
probably
say that
poisoned
was
them.
possibly one of the biggest contributors to it, that it drove the citizens to madness.
Oh, well, now that we've put the entire audience to sleep, we're going to move on off.
Hey, listen. Hey, civilization
Just
talk
like-
is not boring.
Oh my God!
If you want to take a break, I mean, we can all just sit here
Crazy.
and talk about the Visigoths
Talk about,
coming
like,
out of the
nonsense.
Germanic Empire.
Lead pipes,
I'll
man.
put you all on my trivia team, but other than that, we're not going to have any fun together.
Okay.
Seth, so tell us like your background. Like, how did you get into being a realtor, and who do you actually work for? Do you work for yourself? Like, what's the story?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm an independent contractor, but I hang my license with Remax. I actually got into real estate in a not so conventional way. My family are real estate developers, so we developed a property over in Collegeville called Rivercrest. My father, at 20 days after I was born, started Mid-Atlantic Management Corporation, which is a property management, HOA management company. And those Charlie and my father were partners. They got into that business and found very quickly they didn't like it. Right. So they basically issued Class B stock to the next in line and said, just run this thing. And then my father would develop the property, and then Charlie would build the homes. So while they built the homes, my father was out finding more properties. They did this over and over again. Father retired at 51. Went to Overbrook Golf Club and was bored to tears and said, hey, I'm going to do one last project, which is what Rivercrest Golf Club is. And it was at the time, it was 274 homes built around a golf course and private club. My family still owns the club to this day, but we don't have any shares like in the housing or anything like that. So I did that. I got out of college in 2002, and I essentially, my father asked me, he's like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I'd seen that movie Office Space way too many times in college.
Love it.
And I said, dude, I cannot go into an office cubicle. I came out with a marketing degree, and by all intents and purposes, I should have gone into like insurance or done something, And he's like, well, it's good news. He's like, we're breaking ground at Rivercrest. So why don't you come out and dig ditches for a while and see what you want to do? And then I started working for the superintendent of the golf course, which the golf course wasn't even there. We were like literally building it. But he threw out his back about 20 days after I started, and he put me in a backhoe because he couldn't get in it. And that was it. I was hooked. I was dozers, skid steers, excavators, payloaders, everything. So I helped build the golf course. After the course was open, though, it went from construction to maintenance.
Right.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Skill set. It's like, go mow the grass, come back 3 days later, mow the grass, lots of chemicals and stuff like that. So I went in and worked inside and sold private golf club memberships during the Great Recession, which is how I got a lot of my sales experience. And then I kind of just outgrew it. I decided that I wanted to be able to go out and kind of do my own thing. I didn't want to be under the family anymore. And Rivercrest had kind of already gotten built up, and it was off and running. It was like it was just going to be now about maintaining it, and it just didn't excite me. So I figured, plus I wanted to make more money, frankly, and my family couldn't pay me the amount of money I wanted to make to like do the things I wanted to do. So I got my real estate license, and it never really occurred to me. I mean, the statistics about getting a real estate license is horrendous. 87% fail within the first 3 years. So
wow, that's a giant number.
I think there's a few reasons for that. One is I think it's way too easy to get into, so there's too many people just trying for it. But I think there's also people just don't realize how hard it is, and especially in this area. I mean, there's tens of thousands of realtors in the Philadelphia area, and
it's a big like divorced woman's like. They were a stay-at-home mom, and now they're like, "I'll be a realtor."
No comment. I can't
comment. You should comment.
No, yeah.
I'll comment for you.
Okay,
I think it's crazy. They'll say that they're an entrepreneur or self-employed, and you're like, I feel like it's thought of as like, I don't really need any skills, and I could be a realtor.
Yeah.
And that I would be insulted, like if I was a real realtor.
Yeah,
I mean, hustling.
Listen, it's
like it's I'll sell Tupperware or I'll become a realtor.
Or I'll sell essential oils or
Yes.
get into multi-level marketing or do something like
solve
that.
everything.
And I think that a funny thing is real estate agents are in the top 5 least trusted industries in the country.
Really?
Just for what you just said. Just because of what you said. Because you don't think realtors are worth any. You're like, oh, it's easy to get.
No, well, I'm not. I don't feel that way. But
Okay.
I know that's why like divorced women in like their 40s and 50s are like, I'll become a realtor.
It's way too easy to get into.
Easy.
It's way too easy to get into, and there's not a high enough skill level in the area. So I get it.
I'm with you. I get it. But reverse. Tell me, since you knew it was in the top 5, do you know what the other 4 are?
It's like
I have a feeling we're on
it sounds ridiculous,
Car
but it's like
salesman has
literally
to be
like
there.
a used car salesman,
Yes.
lawyers.
Uh-huh.
There was some
Contractors.
subsect
Doctors.
of medical, and it wasn't like surgeon. Maybe it was some kind of surgeon. Financial planners are high up there. A lot of people don't. Yeah, I mean, I think financial planners suffer from the same thing real estate agents do, where they're not able to show their value.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll call you for your quarterly checkup, if that. And a lot of financial planners do great work when you need them, but for the most part, I think financial planners are seen as almost like just collecting fees.
Yeah.
And really what it comes down to is the same thing with real estate. The consumer doesn't understand really what the job is,
Yeah.
So we're not on it, is what you're saying. Like a construction company is not on that list of 5 people?
Spring house-based construction companies? Absolutely not. No. Are you working with, is Hearth working with sellers or buyers?
Both.
Oh, that never. Nothing. You live there for a while. I just talked to a coworker
we have done a
about
bunch
this.
of homes, people that have bought homes sight unseen from out of state
But
that
from
we
this-
do work.
Spicy.
It never turns into a renovation. People who call and have these high hopes that they're going to renovate this house they just bought and they're moving in a month. $40,000 later,
Well,
And you're like, I
gotta
guess we're
get-
not doing the kitchen right away.
You
No,
got to
you're
get in
not.
the house and
Yeah.
feel it.
Yes.
You've got
You
to
have
get
to
a
live
feel
in
for
it,
your
get the
home,
vibe.
and then you'll know what
Yeah,
to
but
do
I mean,
with it.
even a good realtor should be able to estimate.
Yeah.
Like, hey, that's not going to be $20,000 kitchen. That's going to be a $75,000 kitchen.
Yeah.
Or, hey, that's not going to be a $10,000 hall bathroom. It's probably going to be more like a $25,000 hall bathroom. You
Right,
know?
right. And you're not going to do it right away. You're going to be overwhelmed. You have boxes everywhere, and it's just too much to tackle.
So I just sold a house where it's a ranch, and
I love a ranch.
I live in a ranch. I got a ranch. I was only going to move one more time. That was a deal with my wife. I said, we're only moving. I didn't want to move. I would have my house paid off.
How many times have you moved?
I've moved. Well, before I actually bought a house, I've lived in 3 houses.
When you like as an adult, you bought a house. How many times have you bought a house as an adult?
3 times.
Okay.
So
And you're like in your 40s.
I'm 44. But there's a lot of people that would be like, okay, I'm going to, they'd move in there like 48 and then maybe again in like 58, But we bought a ranch. That was the deal with my wife. I said, I don't want to move, but if we're moving one more time. And I said, that's a ranch.
These ranches, the best.
But I just sold this house and I was at the settlement and they're tearing the entire roof off of the house and going straight up. Not sure their realtor.
Right after settlement?
Right after settlement, but I'm not sure their realtor told them that if they add bedrooms, they have to redo the septic tank too. The irony is that the person that I beat out wanted to do that exact same thing. They wanted to tear the roof off and put a second story on. And
Is that what you did?
No.
Oh.
And I told that was how I won the bidding war for myself because I said, listen, those people, they're going to inspect and they're probably going to back out when they realize that it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars for all the engineering and everything
Yes.
to put a second story on a house that's built for one story. They may be offering more money, but they're probably not going to make it to settlement because they probably have no idea how much this all costs because there's no way
Right.
to quantify
No one ever
putting a second story on a house. But I was able to go in, measure, get some rough estimates on how much cash out of hand it would be to do floors, redo the kitchen, bathroom, that type of thing.
God, I love a ranch. And my dream is like a U-shaped ranch.
I would build a rancher in the U shape for the mountains. Like I always
Just
thought
the
about
mountains?
that.
I'll take it anywhere.
No,
Anywhere.
I didn't want a rancher till I had kids, and I didn't realize how much you go up and down the goddamn stairs.
Yeah. And you're
I'm like,
old
if
then.
I go up, I should have buns of steel because as soon as I sit down,
Buns of
daddy,
steel.
mommy, up and down all night long. And I'm just like, maybe a rancher is the right idea. But
But
it's,
then you get fat and old.
you know what it is?
You gotta
I
keep
don't
up.
like sleeping on the same level as someone can walk up to my window and look in.
Really?
Yeah.
You're that like weird, like paranoid hunter.
Yeah,
kinda
yeah.
guy.
It's weird.
has a
I don't
gun
want
under
anybody
his bed.
sneaking in and stealing my kids at night.
Yeah.
I don't even think about that. I think
Please.
I
oh my God. I
for-
leave the door unlocked. Come on in.
First of all,
You
nobody
naturally want the high ground.
Yeah.
No, but
No,
here,
I'm
here,
good.
here, I'm gonna
Come and get
level
'em.
with everyone here who has kids. Nobody wants your kids.
So let's ask them, what bit of advice do you have for people now in the real estate market looking to buy a home?
It's gonna sound salesy, but like literally get the process started as early as possible. I talked to way too many people that are not as prepared as they thought, whether it's financially, emotionally. There's a hang up with the consumer. They think, and I think it goes to this trust thing with the top 5 least trusted. I think there's 2 things that happen. One is they don't want to waste people's time. But also I feel like they think that we're not ready to buy a house. And like, I can't stress enough the importance. I work with buyers for 2-3 years, get them lined up with the lender. And before we really even go out and like look at houses, but like I had someone who's moving down from the Poconos. They want to live like Upper Perkiomen schools, and she's a nurse. They want to be in that Grandview Health system, and her credit's not great. But they called me and they said we want to move down in a couple of years, and now we're going to work on her credit and get them ready to buy. Buyers already know, like I can sit here and wax poetic about how tight the market is and inspections aren't happening, but everybody kind of knows that now because now so many people have had friends who've gone through the experience that it's not really telling them anything new. Definitely hire an ecosystem of people. So a good lender, good realtor, and usually the realtor's like the point person. But like you're not supposed to go and ask your sphere like, who did you use for X or who did you use for this? Now, they can use whoever they want, but 90% of people are like, just tell me the people I need to use and who you've had success with.
I agree. That's how I would be.
So preparation really is the main thing and really believing that like a good realtor First of all, good realtors got plenty of business, so they're not incentivized like what we call in the business commission breath.
Right.
But also, like, you have to just trust that people have your best intent, the best intentions, and they do this all day, every day, and you just kind of trust the process.
That's good advice. All right, the thing we hate to do is like Google questions on the internet. Like I hate it when people are like, I Googled how much is my bathroom going to cost.
Okay.
It never is. But I did Google a few things. I mean, we could just make fun of them because I do not believe most of these.
Let's do it.
But I wanted to throw a few by you. If you're selling your house, what are should you do any improvements? Should you not? Are there some you should do, some you absolutely shouldn't do? I think there's like
Well, why don't you start?
Okay, so I would say like do some structural things. Like if your roof is a mess, it's nice, maybe a new roof, maybe like the hot water heater, the HVAC, if the heater is 30 years old and people are just going to look at that and kind of nickel and dime and reasons to offer you less than maybe you want. So I think those things that aren't so much fun for the buyer, they're not like the shiny items like a new kitchen or things like that. So the important things like HVAC, the hot water heater, the roof, I mean, maybe windows, but I wouldn't.
But they're
I
big
wouldn't waste
ticket
my
items
money.
that you don't want to pay for.
Right, but if they're really, really bad, I think it might make your house look a little bit better. And if you want to sell it quicker, and most of these people been living in this house 30, 45 years, and they're like, they have the money in the bank to put a new roof on it. It just makes you feel a little bit more secure. If I was buying, I would want all those things to be like within the past 3 years.
Well, I wholeheartedly disagree. No, I'm kidding.
Tell me.
No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, overall, I look at it as in buckets. So when I go in to list a home, yes, there are those big ticket items, like the renovations. I'm talking about kitchens, baths, new flooring, that type of thing. And then there's maintenance items, which is roofs, HVAC. Windows is more, I think, discretionary. And then there's just what I call like the death by 1,000 paper cuts. And that's where the handyman
I love
division
that
comes in.
saying.
Where it's like everywhere you turn, like things just don't feel well maintained. Chip paint, trim that's banged up, doors don't seat right. There's just those little things. Because when the buyer comes in, they're going to want to experience the house in a little bit. So like if that like soft close doesn't fully work, or just those little things, because you can dump the age of your HVAC in a disclosure, and it's not like, listen, if the thing's on its last legs and it's, you got, I literally have gone in and like someone's had like duct tape wrapped around it because like all the vents don't even hold onto the thing. That's an extreme example. But if it's old and it's priced right, it's a good location,
I think the location, you could be like, it is what it is. Take it or leave it.
Well, like, I mean, I sell houses all the time that are like, it's now, the whole thing has shifted from the seller having to do this stuff to the buyer. What my suggestion, okay, so let's say 123 Main Street has a bad roof, okay? It works. It's not leaking. There's no mold in the attic, but it looks like shit. And when buyers come up, when Isaiah comes up to it,
Long way away.
he and and the wife of his dreams are going to say, that roof looks like shit. Now, I would rather, instead of waiting to list that house, I'd rather list the house for a little bit less and see what the buyer is willing to take. Because what if I list it for $30,000 less than I normally would, but it sells, and then there's a bidding war, it brings it about 15.
Yeah. You didn't have to do that roof.
And it saved my seller $15,000. So I always tell my seller, don't underestimate what the buyer is willing to take on. And also, I always say 7 days, we're going to have our feedback. We're either going to be under contract or we're not.
And if it's longer than 7 days, something's off.
No, but it's like the market, because there's so much demand, the market is able to decide what the house is truly worth. And you put the age of the roof in there, you put the age of the HVAC in. Doing like major renovations.
Ugh, no.
Or major projects, like ripping
So
off
dumb.
a roof and doing all that. It's a 1 day job, depending on the side. Maybe a 2 day job if the sheathing is okay. But in the end, it's a lot of logistical stuff to handle when all I have to do is just change the number.
You have to have a seller willing to change the number.
We weren't doing a lot of stuff in our townhouse, and then we just got to the point, I'm just going to redo the first floor. It's funny because now you go upstairs and turn that corner, and you see just how ding the trim is. And I'm like, man, all right, when it gets warm up, I'll finish the hallway and then start working my way around to the bathrooms and the rooms. And either we find something and, we got this much renovated. It's up to you for the rest, or it gets fully renovated.
You're just going to rent it to me.
I will say that some big ticket items still are like painting. Painting Absolutely. Am I not allowed to talk about this yet?
You can, but I'm going to go down a list, and that's actually one of the things on my list. Let's do the list.
Okay, you do. This is
Okay,
your show.
so we're going to do yes or no.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you what I found 10 projects you should always tackle before selling your house.
Okay.
Now, well, we all agree that just because the internet says you should always tackle it doesn't mean you should always
And
tackle
we're all
it.
grown-ups, and we're willing to argue here a little bit, right?
Yes, like just because somebody writes something down doesn't mean it's true.
Oh, I agree.
I'm just going to sit back here and be a sponge.
Yeah, because you don't know, because you're like hanging out in your mom's mud room is your favorite place to be from another episode.
Not even a joke, it is.
All right, let's 10 projects.
Okay.
The first one is apply a fresh coat of paint.
Yes.
Yes or no?
That's one that I always suggest if it needs it.
Do you think the homeowner should do it themselves or they should hire a professional?
Oh God, no, a professional. I can tell what's DIY and what's not.
I think people will find the value in painting after they do it themselves. And they're like, oh, why do we do it ourselves? We did this beautiful renovation. And then they try to cut costs. They're like, let's take the painting off. And then they do the painting themselves.
Painting is worth its weight in gold when
Yep,
it's done
people
right.
think
We
it's
pay
so
people
easy,
to
and
paint
it's not.
because we had like the 1990s honey oak cabinets. And I'm like, I can't take that color anymore. So they also painted the cabinets. I could have painted the room. But I'm like, the cabinet, I don't have time for all this right now. So
Yeah, how much is your time worth? All right, so we all agree the fresh coat of paint, that's fine. You can do that. Some things are just elbow grease and they make sense. It's just common sense. Wash the windows.
Yes.
Yes. Wash your freaking windows.
Because more people will look out your windows
Yes.
during the time that house is on market than in the entire time you live there.
And I think you're going to notice more if the windows are dirty. You don't notice if they're clean.
They're like, well, if this guy hasn't cleaned the windows in 20 years,
What
he
else
even have the
hasn't he
HVAC
done?
looked at?
It's disgusting. Another elbow grease. Do a deep clean.
Yes.
Yes, clean your
I am
place.
absolutely
Disgusting.
amazed at some of the condition of these
Yes.
houses we walk in. And I was like,
Oh my God.
oh,
People
I
are
can't
pigs.
I can't.
Yeah, some things we just think are common sense, and some people just
The
don't
thing
know
that
it.
grosses me out most is we went to this one house. I mean, the tub was brown. And I mean brown.
Ew.
And it was a
Like-
white tub.
Like mildew? Or
Like they haven't washed it
Yeah,
in
they haven't.
30
It's
years.
just stained.
And I was so turned
Well, a lot
off.
of times the finish is gone, and
Yeah.
it's not great. And that right there, so when you have a buyer who comes into a house, the more confused they are, the less likely they're to write an offer.
Yes.
Because you're like, honey, I don't know what the hell's wrong with that tub, but it doesn't feel safe. I'm not putting Bobby in there.
It just makes you think of other things in the house. The next one, elbow grease, declutter.
Yes.
Yes. Your
Without
stuff
saying.
is not cute.
All flat surfaces, mantles, floors, get rid of everything.
Yeah, move it. The move out method. It says.
Plus, it makes it look roomier than it really
Does.
is.
All right, here's one that I'm on board with. Pump up the curb appeal.
What the hell does that mean?
Maybe put some flowers out
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
front
that's nice.
porch. Like if you have window boxes,
It's just-
make them look nice.
Yeah.
Is your mailbox falling apart? Could you throw in a new mailbox? Put the numbers on your house nicer. Buy some new numbers.
Yeah,
that's they're $5 a number.
Yeah,
at
I knew what you
Lowe's.
meant, but it wasn't. It was kind of ambiguous.
Yeah, I like that you're asking me questions, Seth. It's like ask Denise anything.
Yes, Denise, reverse
It's
role.
my new
reversal.
Instagram handle. Address pests like mice.
Boy.
Yes. I don't want ants or mice at the open house. That's disgusting.
Isn't that kind of like, flush the toilet before you leave?
Clean up the evidence.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then the rest I completely disagree with.
Okay, well, those will be the fun ones.
Upgrade your cabinets. No.
You might want to paint your cabinets if it's really bad, new doors and skins. But dude, the idea of tearing out
No.
counters,
I don't
there's so
think
much
he's-
more that goes into it.
I don't think that you should waste any money on your kitchen. If it is a crappy kitchen, somebody's going to rip it out eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, more kitchen stuff. Add a backsplash. No, don't add a backsplash. Leave your crappy kitchen the way it is.
See, it depends on the eyes of the buyer. I go into a house, crappy, great, means cheaper for me because
Yeah,
I can
that's what I
fix
mean.
it.
Keep it crappy.
Yeah, I don't
Keep it
want you to
crappy.
do stuff for something
Don't.
that I'm going to change around. The one thing I will say will supersede everything. If the house is a shithole and has the kitchen redone, I'm in. Kitchen is the
What if
worst
you don't
room
like
in the whole
kitchen?
house
What
to
if you
have.
don't like the way they
Yeah,
redid
if you-
it? You're
Kitchen is
paying
the
for a
worst
kitchen they
home in the
redone
house
that
to
you're like,
redo.
I hate this kitchen
I can
and it's
tweak
brand
it.
new.
I was said on my podcast yesterday because we were talking about the ROI of home improvements, and we can talk about that too. Is if as long as that kitchen's done, you've got that home base. There's nothing worse than going through a home
not
renovation
broken.
and you can't go get your coffee in the morning and
Kitchen is the worst,
Is the worst.
room to renovate in any home.
and live in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I still don't want you picking out my backsplash. Just let me do it. Because I'm going to feel like I'm now paying for the backsplash you put in that I hate.
Yeah, but backsplash. I mean, what were we talking about? How much is a backsplash? Like
$1,100
What are you, like
bucks.
rolling in
tops.
dough? I don't know. Well, it depends. I don't know. Refresh your flooring.
So I don't disagree with this. I will suggest. I mean, carpet cleaning for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just settled on a twin in Conchi, man, and God, this I've been in their family since 1880 or something. Same family has owned it, and they asked if there were hardwoods underneath the carpets, and I said there should be hardwoods under these carpets, and these at some point they glued down like that masonite, like real thin masonite product, I guess to level the floor or whatever, or to I guess the floor had gotten so deteriorated.
No.
And they were okay because they wanted carpet anyway. But I was like, man, it's like throwing a sheet over the Mona Lisa. Or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I saw my favorite Mimi the other night.
He means meme.
Yeah, meme. What's the... Stop talking about the millennials. We're not the ones that glued linoleum on top of wood floors. And I was like, damn, that's so true.
Yeah, it is
funny.
true. Yeah, some savage. Yeah, just put all that glue down and threw that linoleum on it.
Number 10 is give each room a purpose. If your dining room is also an office or your basement is a gym, man cave, playroom, you may want to remove the evidence and make each room serve a single purpose while you're selling your home.
I think post-COVID, I think it's okay to have a gym or an office wherever the hell you want. Again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying to Isaiah, which is that if it makes sense, it feels safe. So whenever I go into a house, I tell my seller, I said, if it's confusing, like, hey, how the hell did that hole get in the wall? Like, where's that from? Or why is this piece of furniture here? It seems so out of place. It detracts people from actually envisioning themselves in it and focusing on the things that you want them to focus on, which is that gorgeous backsplash that Denise would absolutely full-throatedly recommend to anyone looking to sell their house.
No, just leave it be.
So since he mentioned it, I thought you had it. Let's talk about renovations for return on investments.
Yep.
Okay. So what do you think is the most important room to renovate in your home?
As a general question, anywhere you can fetch water. Kitchens and baths.
Fetch water. You're like a country boy.
So
Okay.
kitchens and baths. People love those like mudrooms too. Like,
Yeah.
people love that shit with those built-in things.
Yeah.
No, it really is true because for a few reasons. One, like you said, it's a bitch. You live in a house and have to renovate a kitchen because
You don't realize how much life centers around the kitchen.
you live in a toaster oven. I went through one when I was growing up, and luckily we had like a porch that we had recently like enclosed into a 3-season room. And over the summer, I mean, I never ate so many tuna melts in my life. I just put all these freaking things in the toaster oven. But anywhere you can fetch water, and bathrooms too. Bathrooms are super intrusive on a if you all have to pile into the same, it's logistically it's hard. But I always kind of take this from a sliding scale for return on investment. Like, people don't think about it in this way. Everyone thinks about it in terms of money, but it really comes down to time for me. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're a flipper, then that return on investment has to be just about money. It's like, okay, Mike, I'm going to put that new kitchen in, and I'm going to put it in for $50,000, and then I have to get, to make it all worth my time. You got to tell me I get at least $65,000 out of this thing.
Right.
And I have to get that in the next 2-3 months. Versus somebody who buys a forever home and they're going to live there for 30 years, they can overspend on the kitchen. Because not only are they going to get
Enjoy
a new
it.
kitchen, but they're going to enjoy it. They're gonna have their friends over. They're going to be able to show it off. They're going to make memories in that.
Yeah, there's an emotional return on
Emotional
investment.
return on investment. So there's that intangible so when people talk about return on investment, I immediately ask, well, how long are you going to? Now, I work with people for 2-3 years leading up to sell. And just like what you're saying, I think the roof's fine, but should I put a new roof on if I'm going to sell next spring? I'm like, let me come over and see, but probably not. But yeah, if he's going to live there for another 20 years and it's on its last legs, like, no, that's a maintenance cost. That's a good return on investment, because if you don't do it, then you're going to have a whole other host of problems. So what I always kind of bake into this conversation is, how long are you going to be in this house? So that's my answer. But in terms of return on investment, bathrooms, kitchens,
Where to fetch water?
outside areas like patios, pools,
Yes.
terrace, like landscaping. that kind of
Outdoor
thing.
elements are huge
They're
since
huge,
COVID. Like, they want to move the living space outside.
Screened-in porches. I put this big vaulted screened-in porch, cathedral ceiling with like beadboard and everything, with like an outdoor fireplace. It's killer.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I mean, that alone would sell my house.
Yeah,
Someone
that
would walk in there
stands
like,
out.
holy shit, honey.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of the outdoor living spaces since COVID. When you're forced to live at home and everybody looking up and saying, I wish I had, I wish I had, I wish I had. And you're like, you know what? Happens again, we're going to have it.
Yeah.
So,
How do you feel about staging homes? Like, if you have an empty home, do you recommend it be staged or leave it?
I haven't staged a house in a really long time, and I think it kind of falls under the bucket. I mean, listen, if it's going to be a hard home to sell, so a lot of times what'll happen is down in the city, like condos, or if you have a high end like luxury home that's going to take it's going
like
to take
$10
6
million.
months. It's going to take 6 months to sell anyway.
How often do you have empty homes?
Probably like 1 out of every 4. Usually, I'm able to work out where leave your stuff, give me 14 days. I usually only need 5.
To sell it.
To sell it. As soon as we're under contract,
You can
it
move your
feels
stuff
safe
out.
and get your shit out of here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it really does make a difference to have stuff in there. The house I just sold, the rancher that was going to be, with a second level put on, it was completely emptied. And you can do virtual staging. My experience, some of the buyers haven't appreciated that because they're like excited to see it. And it's like, oh, it's
And they get
empty.
there and they didn't realize some of the virtual staging is so good you don't know you're looking, and you get there and you're like, what happened to the furniture?
The house that I bought was empty,
never in it.
but it was virtually staged, and I was even, and I'm a
You
real
were
estate
shocked.
agent, and I was even taken for.
yeah, I'd
it.
rather
So it's
not
really
have it staged. I'd like to see everything. One of the things I hated about the trend that started with COVID is it seems like a lot of houses go on the market Thursday, and you better have an offer in Sunday.
Yeah.
I kind of love it. To be honest with
I'm
you.
sure
I hate
it's
it.
good, but a lot of times when we want to make an offer, I want to see the house twice.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily have all the time in the world to run back.
In the summer, I often will recommend that we do at least like a 5-day, even a 6-day showing window because people go away, especially
Right.
at those higher price points.
Right.
And I get it. The other way that agents can alleviate that is doing open house.
They're still doing
like
that?
If Mike's parents, it's like, hey, Mike's like, tells his parents, I saw a house, and you're going to send them to the open house so you guys can all go back. But it's nice selfishly from a professional standpoint because then I know like Tuesday, Wednesday is like my kind of down days. But then Saturday, Sunday, I'm like out all day. But that's me. I mean, usually between Thursday and Sunday, you can get almost everyone through.
Yeah.
And as somebody who sees all the showings on a property, Sunday's usually kind of dead. Like there's not a whole lot of people coming through. Because Tuesday, you've already have had 3 full days.
Yeah.
If you've underpriced it, then those days become harder because there's just more and more people that want to go through. I literally had an agreement of sale. I was signing an agreement of sale with my buyer Linda or my seller Linda, and there were investors breaking into the basement because I canceled all the showings because I said the property's going under contract and we were there. And
What'd you do?
I kicked them out.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
So.
What are some of the craziest things you've seen, either going to an open house or you go to a client's house to see their house and you're like, what in the world? What are we going to do with this?
I'm not entirely sure in Trevos, I didn't walk in on like a murder scene. Like this house had so much, I guess it was like red dye or whatever on the ground, but the house it was bank owned and there were dolls everywhere. It was like creepy, dude. I was like
creepy
expecting like
dolls.
You found the Annabelle house.
Where was the red?
The red, so it was like a beige carpet and there was just red everywhere. It wasn't blood, but no, I mean, it's not common you find like super crazy stuff.
The weirdest thing we saw looking at a house was from here down on all the drywall had permanent marker and crowns.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they had got booted out by the bank and they must have given the markers and crowns were still all over to the kids.
On the floor?
Yeah, and the kids went around everywhere.
It was
And
bank owned?
right all over.
People who get thrown out of their house by the constable, they're not happy about it.
Oh, they let the kids do it after they were being thrown out.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. They gave them
gotcha.
markers and crowns, and it's impossible to
That's
get
so
out.
obnoxious.
You can't seal it.
Important documents laying out?
Yes, big one, and guns.
Really?
Yeah,
You think people do that on
hide your,
purpose?
hide your guns, hide your
Hide
docs,
your kids, hide your guns.
hide your
jewelry.
kids. Any valuables, sentimental or not, whatever.
Yeah, people are nosy. How about lighting? Like, do you find
Lighting,
like,
I have lighting in everything.
Wafers.
Those straight up and down, those lamps that shine up into the ceiling. What are they?
Oh, I know what you're talking about, like the uplighting.
The uplighting. I put in that house in Ambler, I put 11 in them, and it was a 3-bedroom house. I put them everywhere because it's the winter.
Just
Sun's
felt so
down by
dark,
5.
Yeah.
There's no recessed lighting to speak of, and some realtors will get really, really clever and like take a desk lamp and like put it on the ground and plug it in, but it looks like shit.
Yeah.
It's like what are you doing?
It just draws attention to
Yeah,
the
it's
fact
like-
that your lighting sucks.
No, it draws attention to the fact that the house is completely vacant because they can't even put it on
Right.
an end table. They're just literally
Yeah,
putting
that
it on
too.
the floor. Lighting is a huge one for me, and I am amazed at the amount of people, amount of realtors out there who don't have proper lighting in homes, especially this time of year.
Well, this was fun, Seth. I think we covered a lot.
Any other final thoughts before we?
I have some final questions for Seth. But...
Well, I
You have final
know that.
questions? Oh, it sounded like you were wrapping up. but
Yeah.
it doesn't
Oh,
sound
no,
like
we're
that.
wrapping up. No, these final questions have nothing to do with anything.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah,
No.
it's just for fun. All right, I picked 3 out of this
questions.
list of a bunch I have. This one's pretty benign, but what was your favorite job? Your entire life, what was your favorite job?
I think this job is my favorite job. But based on where I am in my life and
Yeah.
and the money that it allows me to make, and the I get to help a lot of people. And like I said, most people don't know how to do this. Like they do this only a few times in their life. So I really enjoy helping like families upsize and dealing with all the logistics.
It's nice. It's nice to love your job.
I do. I did love. I was like a big kid. I mean, I loved operating equipment.
You
There
see
was
the
progress.
results.
There's progress.
It's a great short-term focused industry. You will see amazing turnarounds in 6 to 8 weeks, a year.
Yeah.
And you could stand back and say, wow, we did that.
Yeah.
Let's get on to the next one.
That's right, and that's why I
Yeah.
was saying when it went from construction to maintenance, then that's like okay, the grass
That's
is
not as
relentless,
fun.
dude. It never stops.
No, it's like laundry. If you can't sleep in the middle of the night, what do you do?
Oh my god, I sleep like the dead. I wish I'm so glad that is one thing I don't have. But read, like a dump truck could drive through my house.
Reading's a cheat code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 3 pages in, and I'm in bed. I'm
Sound
rocked.
asleep.
See, I wake up every morning at like 3:34 every night.
Yeah, me too.
I don't go to bed till like
Stop texting
11:30.
each other.
So I'm a really early riser, so I'm an early go to bedder too. But
Like what time?
I'll usually be up by 4:30.
What time do you go to bed?
Like 9:15, unless I'm active with a client or wife and I are hanging out watching something that she's roped me into.
Bachelor in Paradise or what the hell was
You
that
know,
one?
Golden Bachelor.
Golden
My-
That
Bachelor.
was so cringy. All right, so tell us where we can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at AskSethAnything. You can also find my co-host and I, Jen Anuski, at Millennia Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of fun stuff related to real estate regarding the younger generation. So we talk a lot about budgeting. We talk about different loans. We just talk about the buyer and the seller psychology, and try not to shit on other generations quite as much. I'm actually like a very, very barely Gen Xer. I'm the youngest of 6, so I've got a lot of Gen X energy in me. But we talk just all about the current state of the market. We just did a funny episode about how dating is like the real estate market. The longer a house is on the market, the less attractive it is. So we just try to keep it light and have fun.
All right, good. Yeah, I watched it, and I think it's a good one. And I want to watch that dating one now that you mentioned it. You can find us on Instagram at renovation.radio, and you can send us an email at renovationradio@hearthbuilders.com if you have an idea or a question, or you just want to complain about Mike.
Yeah, perfect.
Well, thanks, Seth. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you, Seth.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Renovation Radio. I hope you learned something new and that you're feeling inspired to start your next remodeling project. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact Hearth Builders. We're always here to help. And don't forget to subscribe to the show so you don't miss any future episodes. We've got some great topics coming up in the next few weeks we don't want you to miss.